Jerry Gardner is headed to Fat Camp, whether he wants to go or not. Shortly after arriving, the camp announces a new owner, Tony Burkus. Tony is a power-hungry salesman that is trying to use the camp to sell a weight loss program. And before long, the staff and campers begin to fight back. Before summer ends, everyone will learn that you don't put Twinkies on your pizza, you don't fly without your wings, and you don't bet against the heavyweights.
Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today we're talking about Heavyweights from 1995. Directed by Steven Brill, written by Steven Brill and Judd Apatow, cinematography by Victor Hammer, composed by J.A.C. Redford, edited by Carol Timothy O'Meara, costume design by Kimberly A. Tillman. Starring Aaron Schwartz, Tom McGowan, Sean Weiss, Kenan Thompson, Tom Hodges, Leah Lale, and Ben Stiller. Michelle, how are you?
Hey, Seth. Welcome to Seth-vember.
It's Seth-vember, which means I'm back to picking all the episodes.
Yeah. And it's everything you love.
Yeah, that's the only theme this month is it's movies that have helped shape me as a person or as my movie watching kind of a thing. So, and I'm following in your footsteps. Back in May when we did Mayshell, you picked a camp movie for your childhood movie, and that's what I'm doing.
Heavyweights. Exciting.
Very exciting. Also exciting, we got 2 emails.
Woo!
Michelle's very excited.
I am. I love emails. You guys know that.
Subject line of the first one is The Invisible Man. This is my favorite of the Universal monster movies. I'm so happy how much Michelle loved this. They answer our question, would you choose flight or invisibility? They say, I would choose invisibility because I hate heights.
Oh, I guess hovering would be strange, huh?
Yeah, you could fly, but you only fly 3 feet off the ground.
It's like you have an invisible hoverboard. Just float. Imagine you just float like an inch above. Anyway, continue.
They say, I enjoyed the remake of this. Moss is great, and I agree. The snow footprints is so insane. P.S. Please do Little Shop of Horrors. P.S.S. I would go out invisible all the time. P.S.S.S. Shakespeare is mid. And P.S.S.S.S. worst half-star review that you've read on the show.
Wow.
And that's from Ben.
Hey, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think we need to do Little Shop of Horrors at some point. Not sure where that would fit, but
we'll work it in next year.
Got another email. Subject line is what we talk about when we talk about Jaws.
Oh.
It says, Dear Movie Friends podcast hosts. Oh, no. I enjoyed your discussion of Jaws and have a convenient bullet point list of my thoughts below. 1. I agree with Michelle. Well, do you read out bullet points as 1? Wouldn't that be a numbered list? Should I just say point? Okay. Point. I agree with Michelle. Jaws is still Jaws, even if you didn't see it as a kid. Point. I agree with Seth. Sorcerer is Roy Scheider's best movie. Oh boy. Point. A big difference between the movie and the novel is that in the novel, Ellen Brody grew up rich and is struggling with getting older and living on the Amity police chief's salary. Due to this, she has an affair with fellow rich kid Hooper. From there, Hooper and Brody's relationship is very different and much more acrimonious than in the film. So when Hooper dies in the book, Brody is like Rachel McAdams in Game Night. Yes! Oh no, he died! I'm so glad the movie left this whole dumb plot out. Oh, also, in the book, Ellen apparently dated Hooper's brother at some time in the past. So, wow, that's a whole lot. Point. I have no thoughts and want to strike from my memory all discussion of spelunking. Point. Seth, you should get a Shide or Die tattoo. Ride or Shide doesn't make any sense. So only imagine that it is actually Roy Scheider's face, not a Gen AI guy that sort of looks like him. and he sent a picture of a Shide or Die tattoo with Roy Scheider. Sincerely, Skylar.
Skylar, thank you. Wow. Can you imagine if they included that all in the movie? It's such a different movie.
A very different Hooper.
That sounds like a soap opera.
Yes. So there's a PS. PS, next October should be Falltober. Only the movies aren't about the fall season. Instead, they're about falling off of things, like Anatomy of a Fall, Falling Down, The Fall, Gravity, etc. Many choices.
Wow. Falltober.
PPS from Wikipedia. Chaps. Chaps are sturdy coverings for the legs, consisting of leggings and a belt. They are buckled on over pants with the chaps integrated belt, but unlike trousers, they have no seat. The term, quote, assless chaps is a tautology and are not joined at the crotch. So there you have it.
Skylar has become the resident chaps expert.
We're continuing our chap journey, and we'd love it if you'd join us. Send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your experience with chaps.
This between this and the skinny dipping, this show is.
Do you just not know what this show is anymore?
Like, have we lost sight? Have we lost sight?
I don't think so, because today
Okay.
we're talking about heavyweights.
That's true. That's true. Yes.
And I don't think that we've lost sight, because we remembered to write down each other's ratings before we get into our movie discussion.
Yes, we did.
I cleaned up my desk, and so I have everything just like here, readily available. But someone has stolen my pen.
Well, you go and find your pen. My rating is locked in.
I'm on fire, folks. If you're not listening for the last 3 weeks, I think I've guessed your rating correctly. So I feel like I can't lose. I feel like I could write anything on here. All right, I am also locked in. So we're talking about heavyweights today. This is my first pick for the month. And we're joined by my cousin Maria, which was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that she knows this movie better than I do.
I think so.
There were a few times I was stumbling with direct quotes, and she was whipping them out.
She knows it. This is her movie.
So let's go over to our discussion with Maria. Maria, thanks for joining us for Heavyweights.
Thank you for having me on.
I don't really remember how this happened.
Oh, I don't know. I just say a lot of things, I think.
I can't remember if it was a time where you were just like, if you ever do Heavyweights. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I probably that's something that I would say. I'd be like, oh, if you ever want to have me on, I'm going to do this movie because it's just like something that was on my mind. So I'd probably just rewatched it for the 80th time and was like, you know what? You know who needs to hear about this? Seth.
Right.
Did you guys ever watch it together?
No,
I don't know. I don't think so.
Your faces were like, oh my God, never know.
Why would why would we ever?
No.
Cousins watching a movie together? No, weird.
No.
No, I think I was trying to think of when this movie came into my life because it was made in 1995.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have watched it upon release because I would have been like 7?
Yeah.
So, but my dad's a big Ben Stiller fan and loved the Ben Stiller show. So I feel like if he caught wind of this at any point, he would have been like all over it. Well quoted in my household.
I don't think, I don't remember going to see this in theaters. I've said before, we didn't really see a lot of movies in theaters because there were so many of us that it would just, I don't know, probably cost $5,000.
You'd fill up the theater too.
Yeah. That's pretty funny, actually. That'd be funny to revamp the your mama jokes, but it'd be like your family. So like, your family's so big, they fill up the entire movie theater.
You should do that. Just make a whole book.
Yeah.
For everyone.
A whole book.
But we definitely rented this movie.
Yeah, I wonder if this was a Blockbuster find, a library find. I remember we had it on VHS for a while, and then it was like it was a big deal to try to find it on DVD because my dad collected them and you couldn't get it. Yeah. And when he finally got it, he was like, yes. And now I own it on I own a digital copy for myself.
So, Michelle, you thought that you had seen this.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell me this story.
Okay, guys. Going into this, I was like, yeah, I've seen Heavyweights. No big deal. No problem. Can't wait. Can't wait to revisit this. I go to sit down yesterday to watch it. And I don't have Disney Plus, so I rented it. So I go to watch it and I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. I was thinking this was The Big Green.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Another good movie.
Yes. Great movie. But the other thing that blew my mind, about 15 minutes into it, you know when you pause on Amazon Prime, it'll pull up everybody who's in the scene, like the actors?
X-ray.
Yeah.
X-ray
Yes.
view, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I was like, oh, Jerry, Aaron Schwartz. Aaron Schwartz. This name sounds so familiar. So I like do a quick search and I'm like, oh my God. It's Vanya from Gossip Girl.
Yes.
It's Aaron Schwartz, who I have interviewed at Epicons and asked him his
Excuse me?
favorite noodle, which is a flat rice noodle, and he loves Thai food.
Oh, okay.
Mind,
Yeah.
I was freaking out. I couldn't believe it.
That's amazing. And you'd
Yeah.
never seen the movie.
And I've
Yeah, I
never seen the
remember
movie.
finding that out while I was like watching Gossip Girl, and I texted my sister and I was like, guess what?
It's Vanya. It's Vanya. Yeah. So I
Wow.
saved the video. I'll send it to you guys of me asking Aaron.
I've never seen Gossip Girl,
Yeah, it's okay.
so that's not super exciting, but I am excited that you've talked to him
Yeah.
and asked him about his noodle.
Yeah. Flat rice noodle.
Wow.
I can't believe it.
It was an
Yeah.
unexpected noodle.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what, like, I don't know what an expected noodle was, but I was like, yeah, I respect that noodle choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so kind too. Like the sweetest person. And just very nice to look at.
Oh, okay. Well, Maria, what kind of noodle would you be? Or wait, how do you ask this question, Michelle? Sorry, it felt
You did
weird.
a great job. You did a great job. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm
No.
watching myself here.
No, I
Wait,
didn't do right.
is it the noodle that I would be, or is it my favorite noodle?
It's the noodle you would be.
I feel like I'd be like I need to like remember the shape. I'd just probably be like something boring, like a rotini noodle or something. I'd be
Hey,
some kind of.
There's nothing wrong with a rotini.
You're like respect a rotini noodle. Holds
I
a
love
lot of
it.
sauce.
See, there you go. Yes. Great start, guys. Great start.
So normally when we talk about a movie, we try not to go like scene by scene, just kind of talk about like characters or big ideas or big scenes. But I'm so tempted to just go through this movie scene by scene and like moment by moment and line by line.
I started to take notes and it's exactly like that. I'm just like, I should have just written the script out because
This is how my notes read. They make fun of Tim for losing weight. Nurse Julie! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Josh, download snacks. Hey kid, get these salamis off my back. They really hurt.
It's just all your
And
favorite
it's just
quotes.
skim milk. The buddy. Yeah, it's just like every moment from the movie because I love it. I love it so much. So I know Maria and I really love this movie, but Michelle, you've seen this for the first time. How did you feel watching it?
This was a joy. And the thing is, I know these kids. I was this kid. I know these kids. My sister knows these kids. I just kept laughing. Like I couldn't stop. I also was just writing down quotes. I mean, starting from the beginning when Jerry's like, I got plans for the summer. I'm going to hang out.
Yeah.
That's me. Yes, Jerry. I feel you.
Yeah.
That was me as a kid. Yeah, this is
And
a delight.
A lot of feelings. Like I love the beginning scene. Like I know we're not going to go scene by scene, but listen, they like put this whole thing in to set it up to where he's chasing after the bus and misses it, and that's when they get their first like fat kid insult in. So it sets up this whole thing. But then he's like walking home and like very chill about it. It looks like it's a long walk, and they aren't doing the thing where he's like really sweaty or like really struggling with a walk home, which I think they really easily could have done if it was a different kind of movie. And I like respect that so much. But yeah, then he gets home and he's like, who's this weirdo in my house? Like, who died?
I do want to talk about the opening. Obviously I picked this movie. I wanted to try to follow in Michelle's footsteps. You know, when she did her month, she picked a movie kind of like from her childhood. And I was like, what movie from my childhood do I want to do? And we've already talked about Clifford on the show. We've already talked about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. When you picked Camp Nowhere, I was like, oh, it's gotta be heavyweights. Gotta be heavyweights. I was a skinny kid for my 10 and under years, like rail thin kind of a kid. And then I was not a skinny kid anymore. Or okay, please forgive me, listeners. I don't know. I think that we don't say skinny or something like that anymore. I heard people saying straight bodied, which I wasn't sure about.
Yeah. There's like straight size, plus size. Straight size meaning clothing wise, like anything up to what you would consider a plus size. But there's like thin and
Okay.
skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you talk like that, I'm not making fun of you. Good for you. It's always been skinny and fat. And for a few years, you couldn't say fat. And I was like, what the heck? Fat's a great word, man. And like, as a fat person, I was like, I should be able to say it, right? But it didn't work that way for some reason.
I feel like I could talk about this movie not on air because I'm an FF, a former fatty. And
Yeah.
so,
I know. I'm like, what level of trauma should we bring to
Well,
this?
right.
I mean,
right.
Yeah.
It's so true.
So like, as someone who never really quite grew out of, that, like, I'm still a fat person, I love this movie because it's funny without being particularly mean, but also not never making a joke about being overweight or whatever. Again, I'm probably going to use some terms that might not be like super nice nowadays. I apologize. I promise I'm nice 100% of the time.
Never been mean a day in his
Never.
life.
No. Never been mean a day in my life. Love this movie, and it meant a lot to me as a kid. And I think it means more to me like as an adult now with children. And kids have a variety of issues that they deal with, physical, mental, whatever. And like, how to talk to kids. How do you talk to kids? And I think that this movie is how you talk to kids. You don't condescend to them. You can tell it like it is, but you can just meet them where they are. And that's, I think, what this movie did for me and still does for me. As far as this movie, though, I think that this movie is so well made. And it blows my mind that people disagree with that. For example,
I'm gonna yell about it. I'm gonna get so mad about it.
Yeah. For example, the first 6 minutes of this movie, we open on the clock, counting down to the end of school. We go through the whole school thing. We go through the whole walking home montage. We introduce his friend. We never see him again, but that's okay. He serves the function of that time. No time wasted with him. We meet his parents. We understand the parent dynamic. We get Tim Blake Nelson as a traveling camp salesman. We get the promotional video. We understand the Bushkins. We understand Pat. We understand all of that stuff. And then at exactly 6 minutes, we get on the plane. And it's like, what great economic filmmaking this is. And a lot of the stuff that's talked about in those first 6 minutes, it all comes back. It's not just thrown away. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
It's a great
surprised
intro.
of how much comes back, like how much setup there is, and there is a payoff. I mean, the go-kart thing, there's a payoff. The shaving, shaving, Josh shaving. I was like, that's random. It
The
comes
captain's
back.
wings.
The captain's yes.
wings.
The promotional video for camp
It's
is
all
a
tied.
recurring. Yeah.
The
Good.
theme of like respect too starts in the beginning. They use
Yeah.
this a lot. Respect, self-respect, respecting others and yourself. And like
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that as an adult now, but I'm like, hey, I see you.
Yep. Steven Brill's filmography is nuts. He's got some real stinkers in there, and then some really good fun movies, including this one. But he wrote Mighty Ducks 1 and 2. So apparently Disney was like, hey, we want that again. And so make this movie. And him and Judd Apatow write Heavyweights. I feel like Heavyweights is really, really subversive because all of the like pains are there on paper to be like, this is a slobs versus snobs story, just like Mighty Ducks, right? And we've got like the big triumphant ending peppered into it. There's all this weird humor, and then of course Ben Stiller, and yeah,
That is why when you sent me the Roger Ebert review, I was like, he doesn't get it.
I think
Yes.
it's just funny seeing Roger be serious about like reviewing this movie.
Oh yeah. You're like, well, yeah, let's critically review. But I'm like, I could write an entire college essay, like a thesis. I'm gonna go get like my PhD. This is my dissertation on heavyweights. Like,
Right.
I am obsessed with this. I could talk about it forever in terms of like with a critical lens, but I won't.
Yeah, so I sent Michelle and Maria, it's like 2 minutes or so on Siskel and Ebert talking about heavyweights, and they did not get it.
No.
Well, and he said it's like a camp movie about, like a sporty camp movie. And and I'm like, no, it is not. It like maybe on the surface. Yeah, I feel like any kid, like, yes, you have a lot of misfit gang kid movies, lots of camp movies. But there's like something special about definitely the humor in this one. It's so quotable.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like, I feel like this has to be my most quoted movie just throughout my life, like day to day. And I'll just like, although I have bees in my brain, so like everything reminds me of it. But yeah, and it's just, I think especially for as a fat kid and currently fat adult, like it speaks to some level that no adult wanted to talk to you and like be real with you. And something that Roger Ebert said in that very quick review was like, oh, they're not treating this like, fat children with any kind of as a serious topic.
Yes.
And I'm like, we didn't need that.
Right.
At all. Right. Because 1995, when this was released, this is right before the really hardcore like childhood obesity epidemic, talking points, the posters, like the school lessons, all of these things. And so it doesn't have that same like healthism bent that you might get like post 2000.
Yeah.
But it's like a very cool way to just be like, hey, these kids like just need an awesome adult like Pat to come in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it establishes, you're talking about how things are going to change in a few short years and how they're changing around that time. I remember being a kid and the food pyramid changed. I don't know if you guys remember that. And I was like, how can you change the food pyramid? It's a pyramid. But it just felt, a lot of things were about to start changing culture-wise. And I like that the movie establishes this camp has been around for 33, 34 years, right? And so there have always been fat kids, and fat kids have always needed a place to go, and the Bushkins have always been the same. And then you have Tony come in, and that's this new approach and new way of treating, quote unquote, treating fat kids. And it's just totally like taking the gas out of that whole thing and showing like this insane person. When Maria, you said how Ebert like didn't understand this at all. I just want to read the IMDb summary of this movie for you guys. I kept coming across it, and it's so funny. It's so funny to me that I want to put this on a shirt. I just want to put this on a t-shirt with no explanation, just this text. All right, so the IMDb summary for this movie is: plump kids are okay. Plump kids are lured into joining a posh fat camp with the promise of quick weight loss and good times, only to find that the facility is a woodland hellhole.
That is a different movie.
That is 100%. That's not this movie. That's a horror movie. Really.
That's a horror movie.
Which like, this movie kind of turns into. Well, yeah.
Right.
So I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about why did we get like Meatballs and Meatballs 2 and all, Mighty Ducks 3 and this movie didn't make a ton of money, and so that kind of explains it. But like, how are there not 10 fat camp movies? Because I would watch all of them.
And I'm like, are there just not enough fat kids supporting the market? Is this like is this like with the plus size in stores situation where like we can't put those in stores?
Right.
I don't.
Yeah, probably. Yes,
I
exactly.
don't know, because I have like, after watching this and taking notes, I have a lot of questions about like the Bushkins specifically, like why they started, like what's the mission? Like, I really respect it because these kids seem like they're having a great time, but their efficacy rate has to be just like in the toilet. Like, what are they like? How are they so big? They're getting kids from across the country to fly in.
Yeah.
Like, I have so many questions,
And a
but it
British
doesn't
kid.
matter. And a British kid.
And it's called Camp Hope. It's not Camp Fat.
Yeah, it's
So,
you know, I like that they made it like it was a positive experience for them. And you know, the Bushkins are great that never let anyone sign your checks.
Yeah. Oh my
filed
God.
Chapter 9 bankruptcy line. Like, his whole speech at the beginning is top tier.
So that's Ben Stiller's real parents.
Yes.
And you know, they were a comedy duo for years and years and years. Dozens of appearances on like late night TV, very funny, and just kind of letting them do this fun dynamic at the beginning, and Jerry Stiller's like melting down. I love it so much. And like Maria was saying, for me as a kid, I quoted this movie not knowing 90% of what the adults were saying, but yeah, like
what's Chapter 9 bankruptcy? Yeah, I was
right,
like,
yes. So I think that this movie makes people kind of uncomfortable because in looking through reviews from current day, some people were saying, oh, this hasn't aged well. One person said, I'm afraid to rate this 5 stars because if I ever become a celebrity, I'll get canceled for loving this movie.
Oh man, are we about to get canceled for talking about it? Okay.
There's obviously a few jokes about being fat. There's a few jokes about overeating. There's a joke about having an eating disorder. There's some things in it, but it's like people still don't know how to interact with fat people.
That's, I think, more of what is the issue here. Is there anything dealing with fat people in a direct way feels really uncomfy and like icky to people, and so it's like, what's okay to say in front of their face, behind their backs? What if we said some of the things behind their backs out loud? What's the line? Right. And that's kind of what that movie explores a little bit.
Right. And if you're sitting there, you know, like Michelle was saying, she is a former fatty.
I'm gonna get canceled. But it's like, I know,
but there's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but
you're the Tim.
You're the Tim. You're the Tim.
You're the Tim.
Oh my
gosh.
Out
there like doing your gyrating.
Which is totally me at a party. And the outfit with the crop top and shorts of like, yes, Tim, get it.
Oh my gosh. Michelle.
Please be Tim for Halloween next year.
We
Michelle
need a heavyweights party, Seth.
Yeah.
Michelle and I were just talking about taking photos as duos from different movies.
Mm-hmm.
We should totally be Pat and Tim.
Yes. In the dance scene outfits.
Oh yeah.
And you can do that. Oh my God, please.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I love the dance. I love the dance.
I would love to do that, but yes.
But yeah, it's like
go ahead.
People don't know, you know, if you're sitting there and you're laughing, and it's children too, you know.
Yeah.
So if you're laughing, does that make you mean? Are you laughing at them? Are you laughing with them? You're cheering them on. Do I feel okay about cheering them on? And I know that I'm kind of going pretty far with this, and I promise this episode won't just be serious discussions. But I do think that can be attributed to some of the reception of this movie at the time, definitely. Because it's like, unless you are like a fat kid in that movie theater watching this, which you're already struggling with a lot of different things about image, right? You might not love sitting there like, why did my parents bring me to this? You know what I mean? Like, you might be thinking, genuinely, you might be thinking that.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid from Camp MVP, you're not going to like this movie.
And you're not going to like this movie because you, in this case, you're the snob and you're the one getting revenged, you know? Yeah, it's like only a very small group of people could like cheer with them and cheer them on and like be inspired by them, I think. And I just think it's hard for people to cheer on like the fat guy or like the loser guys. Yeah. And this would translate. So this is 1995. In 1994, Paul Feig and Judd Apatow would do Freaks and Geeks and experience the same thing. nobody knew what to do with that TV show. But if you
and that's
watch
why
it,
they both have like a cult following, because
Yeah.
it's like all the weirdos. We're like, what? I love
Right.
that.
yes,
I get it, it's me.
exactly.
Yes.
And it's like
Yeah.
there's a small group of people who, if you watch Freaks and Geeks, you're like, this is the most important thing that I've ever seen because this is so realistic, and everyone else is like, oh, whatever.
Right.
I don't get it. And I think that time has been kind to both of them, thankfully. But
I mean, and this is Judd Apatow's first movie. Is that
I think it's
what
the
I
first
read?
movie that he wrote. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would love to have that on my resume. Just like,
Yeah.
okay, just drop heavyweight. I'm like, and maybe not critically successful, but like,
I know. Yeah, and I think that this is one, he's writing with Steven Brill. I don't want to say it doesn't have the same like flavor as like what we would think of like as the Apatow movies. Maybe it's him restrained by Disney. I don't know what it is, but I feel like this for me works better than almost all of those other ones that he did.
But I feel like it does, because the comedy is really smart.
Yes.
It's really well written.
Yeah.
I was like, this felt like a giant comfort. I was cracking up the entire time, like legitimately laughing because it's funny.
It has a huge like Ben Stiller spin on it too, which
God.
I'm thinking about. I went back to check the timeline on this because I believe it's 1992 Ben Stiller show where he does Tony Bobbins, which is a Tony Robbins like impersonation. And he's got big white teeth. But if you watch it, it's so much, very much so, is Tony Perkis.
Yeah.
And it's like and I think you see that a little bit of that character too in like Dodgeball later.
Absolutely. That's what I thought of. Dodgeball.
Yeah. So he clearly like loves this like fitness, inspirational speaker, like infomercial character.
Yeah.
And does that in these. So I think that's a lot of that. But then you've got other weird little things like Lars.
Oh God. Do it to it, Lars.
Yes.
Far Away. Buddy System.
The deer that went, I'm with you. I love you. At the end, like I can't. I love him. I can't imagine that movie without him either. I'm like, what a critical role.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let me ask you guys, where do you think that Lars is from? Is this Austria, Germany type thing?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because I think that the joke is obviously supposed to be like a Nazi, and when they're like, oh, where are you from? And he's just like, far away. It's like, don't ask me where I'm from or where I come from or what I've done in the past.
And he's so mean to the kids. And he's like, let's play a fun game to help us learn each other's names. And he's like, tell me everybody's names right now. Absolutely no banter with the kids, which is like what you just fell in love with Pat doing. Because he's doing the bus thing. Like he's faking out like he's going to go to the fast food. He does the like, do you drive a stick to Jerry? And the like girlfriend thing, which like I loved. He's like, you break up with your girlfriend. And I was like, oh, it's such like a nice welcome the new kid thing. And,
Tom McGowan as Pat. It's very interesting watching this movie and seeing faces that we recognize like from this side of history, but that Disney didn't like front load this movie with a bunch of more famous faces. Apparently, Chris Farley and Adam Sandler both passed on this, which is mind-blowing to me. But you've got Tom McGowan as Pat, Tom Hodges as Lars, Leah Lale as Julie, Paul Feig as Tim. It's not exactly like a star-studded cast. And then obviously Ben Stiller as the main villain. But it was so nice to me to be like, oh, he's the co-lead in a movie and he's just some guy. But he's so like charismatic and fun. He fills up all of his time, all of his lines, all of his screen, and it's such a shame that more people don't get opportunities to do that. Like whenever people are, it's like, oh, who's going to play the new Lara Croft? I don't know. Maybe someone we've never heard of before. Let's give that a shot. Like sometimes that works out.
Yeah. Cause I'm like, I mean, it's always hard to imagine anyone else in a role, but I'm like, the more I watch this as an adult, the more I'm just like, he is the main character. Like Pat
Yeah.
is the main character.
Yeah, we're spending
He's
way more
just-
time with the kids and everything, but I think there's 3. The moments with just him and Jerry
Yeah.
are awesome.
I'm like, I got
awesome.
goosebumps. I'm just like, because the go-kart scene, I'm
Mhm.
like, you see Nurse Julie falling in love with Pat as he's like racing this kid around, and I'm like, and we all do too, because he's so cute. He's so cute.
He is so cute. Yeah.
And we're all in the window with our shawl, just like, oh, Pat. Because he's so adorable. And I love that scene so much. And it's just like they bring up the going fast thing, the flying thing, which is like for the end. And it's just like, and then he has the really great scene with him on the docks too, where they're like, we're gonna stand up to him.
Yes.
And I laughed out loud at that scene today because the kids are 11. I have a 10-year-old and his friends, a lot of his friends are 11. So these are young kids. Like you feel really old at that age, but they're really not that old.
Right.
These adults are saying horrible things to them. And then you've got Pat who's like, let's go. And he's like, yeah, let's go kick his ass. And he's like, we gotta wait. There's like proper channels we gotta go through.
Yeah.
Have your kids, both of you guys, seen this movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. This was one that I was like, okay, is he the right age yet? Can we watch this?
And they received it well? They liked it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You want to make sure you don't show your kids too early and that they take the wrong thing away and that they just go around like making fat jokes all the time.
Sure,
like, because there's not that there's that many, but it's kind of a nuanced conversation. So I was like, oh, let's wait a little.
See, that's funny because that's not my concern at all. My concern is, am I going to show them this movie too young and it will just be background noise? Like, and they'll just be like, take it for granted kind of a thing. Like, I'm like, okay, is their mind ready to receive what's happening so that they can appreciate it?
Do you appreciate this film that I have presented to
I
you?
guess I should be a better parent, though, and wonder about what they're learning from. I just care if they like it or not.
I'm like, whether they like it or not is not a choice. Like, you must like this movie or I don't love you, I think.
Yeah. And you can't hype it up. Like, you can't, like, for a few days, you can't be like, all right, you're going to watch the greatest movie that's ever been made. It's called Heavyweights, about fat kids at camp.
because the more, I don't know about your kids, but the more I love something, the more they're like, they will hate it.
Exactly.
I just am going to start, like, leaving the Heavyweights DVD, like, out.
Right.
Just, like,
you know, it's like trying to tame a wild Mustang. You know, you just kind of have to, like, be around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to, like, have a carrot dangling out of your back pocket and be like, oh, you want this?
Oh, what?
Oh, okay, I guess. I could put my hand on your nose. And then before you know it, you're riding around town.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
So one last thing about Pat. Jerry doesn't want to go to camp. Jerry doesn't want to talk about being fat. Jerry doesn't want to deal with, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, why don't you go to
he's
fat
11
camp? You're
and
fatter
he wants
than
to
me.
hang.
He wants to hang.
Jerry is not a loser, right? And to him, it's like, I'm not going to a camp for losers, right? And so he's very uncomfortable. He's going there. Roy, Kenan Thompson, which, you know, Kenan Thompson, as a kid growing up in the 90s, was like the coolest kid person ever. When Pat asks Jerry, he says, are you ready to have the best damn summer of your life? I start tearing up, just like already. Because, like, again, as an adult, you should have the tools to make kids feel good and feel included and feel better and not feel awkward. Like, those are the tools that you should have developed. And Pat has developed those things. He can't talk to women. But, like, he keeps coming back.
He can talk to kids.
Yes. He keeps coming back, and he's good at that, and he enjoys doing that. The camp is inhabited by these kids and the Bush kids. They've all been there for years. They all know each other. They all love each other. And if there's one plot point of this movie where I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense, but it's the thing that needs to happen in order for everything else to happen, is on night one, the Bushkins announced that they're no longer the owners of Camp Hope. And there's a new owner. And the counselors and staff are not aware of this.
I know they didn't have email yet, but like a letter?
A phone call?
So it's like, hey, by the way, you have a new boss. And also your groundskeeper now, Pat. Hope you're
Yeah.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even
Very
just like
strange.
fire him. Just like
Michelle, what did you think?
I didn't
For the
even
first
think
time.
anything of it.
Mhm.
This felt like tonally this made sense.
Mhm.
And then, of course, where we went with it. But the fact that you bring that up, like, you know, logistically speaking, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you sign, contracts with people.
This is
Other
the
people
adult
can't
lens.
just
The adult
walk
lens is
in.
coming in, and we're like, oh, wait a
Exactly.
minute.
Right. Yeah.
How
It
did
doesn't.
payment work? Like, who's getting
yeah,
Right,
I'm
paid
like,
here?
I want a refund as a parent, I want a refund. Like
Well, yeah, a salesman came to your house and showed you a video
Did he
with
know?
the Bushkins.
Right.
Did he know?
Did he know?
he's the real villain of the movie. Mr. Johnson, Roger Johnson, Islanders fan.
What did he know and when did he know it?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, man.
Parents are always just so eager to get their kids away to camp
Well, I mean,
in these movies. Yeah.
if my kid called from camp and they're like, there's a new owner, I'd be like, all right,
Okay.
bye.
And what do you want me to do about
There's a
it?
new owner. He's a younger guy with crazy hair. I'd be like, sounds fun, cool, man. Good luck.
Well, and then they cut off all communication. So after
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
Yeah.
makes sense. Do you guys remember a show called Bug Juice that was
Oh,
on Disney?
yes.
Of
Yes.
course.
So
of
Bug
course.
Juice and then like Camp Ottawana. Like there's
Yeah,
And then, of
just
Salute
course,
Your
the camp
Shorts.
in Parent Trap. I mean, that
Yeah,
was...
Camp and Parent
Yes.
Trap. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought up Bug Juice because I wanted to bring up Bug Juice because I always want to bring up Bug Juice.
Do you remember that there was a fat girl in one season or something and they did an arc about it? And so I think of her a lot when
my
I think of
goodness.
heavyweights. I hope she's great now.
I hope so too.
But
Yeah. I would
but
love
he
to
says
do a
it-
Bug Juice like 30 years later
Oh, my God.
and just bring them all back to camp.
yes,
Yeah.
100,000%.
Yeah.
They
Bug
are
juice.
my. I feel like I went to camp with them.
You know, we all like to rail against reality TV nowadays, but as kids, we were like, I gotta watch Bug Juice. I gotta know what happened with this
I
couple
can guarantee.
of 15-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do the theme song? Can you do
Bug
the-
Juice.
Doesn't with something doesn't
having fun. On Bug Juice.
doesn't come in a jar. Bug
Yeah.
juice comes from who you are.
Yes. It doesn't come. It was so silly because
It has the flavor of what you've seen and done. I swear to God, I bet that's it. All right.
Yeah.
And then there was,
Okay.
I don't know if you guys watched Kid Nation.
No, Michelle is always talking about Kid Nation, and I've never seen it.
That was like the dark side of children's reality where they gathered kids from ages like 7 to 14 and put them in an isolated town and they had to fend for themselves and govern themselves. Oh yeah, only one season because it was very controversial and I was very hooked.
Was it like Lord of the Flies?
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would have watched it. I would watch it now. I'm
oh.
like, would I be watching the Hunger Games? Maybe.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy.
So this movie, I don't want to say it uses subtle editing or music or sound effects, but they're not like crazy over the top. For example, when Josh is removed from camp and we do like the freeze frame on his face and then like the white fade out. And then when Tony is hugging Roy and then pats him down and takes out the Pez dispenser and says somebody's packing or whatever.
Looks
and
like my man's packing.
Yes.
I was like, if you don't get it, I'm going to get it.
Yeah. And he opens up the Pez and it's the sound of bullets coming out and hitting the floor, right? So there's a lot of these throughout the movie. And I feel like it enhances the comedy. And like it doesn't take me out of it. It doesn't feel silly. But but like the movie itself never fully leans into like full on absurd. Even with Tony, it still kind of feels realistic. I don't know if everything that I said makes sense, but
yeah, I feel like they're fairly restrained with it, despite like how weird it is, and I think that is what helps.
Yeah, it's like weird choices, not like
but it's not
goofy.
too slapstick either.
Right,
Like
yeah,
there are
yeah.
a couple moments where it's like there are a couple, fall jokes or whatever, but it's not too
And it's
silly.
sprinkled too, so if you miss it, you're not missing anything, but if you catch it, it's like, yes, I got a treat.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, we were talking about Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller as Tony Perkis, and then later on, Tony Perkis Sr.
Papa.
Amazing.
Papa.
Call me Papa.
Sir. Papa. Papa.
Oh my gosh, Papa.
What is that? Like what? I don't know what that
It's
character is.
great.
I feel like I know
love
that
it.
guy, but at the
Yeah.
same time, yeah. Oh my god.
I love the glimpses we get into like Tony Perkis Jr.'s past, like these little tidbits. He's like obviously you get to meet his father in the end, and even then he's like, I was never hugged as a child. You don't see me crying like a baby about it.
Yep.
And like, yeah, just like his whole monologue intro at the beginning about his childhood and like this being the first time I'm interacting with children. And then on the hike when he wants to leave Cody behind and he's like, stragglers are left behind.
Yeah,
I was.
Yeah. Well, for that, like it's again, like I feel like this movie's really, really well made and really, really well written, and you can kind of just watch it on one pass through and like laugh, like haha, the blob and haha, whatever. But like, there's a moment where they're doing the weigh-in and Tony goes away by himself and talks to little Tony, and again, just thinking about like the evolution of like childhood psychology, what Tony Perkis's young life was like, and these are the tools that he has like been taught to handle with like stress, and it's so like dark, like that comment from Senior where he's like, I was never hugged, therefore I never hugged my kid. It's funny, it's delivered very funny, but it's in the writing to explain to us, don't do this stuff to your kids.
Right.
Stop doing all of this stuff to kids.
And every adult, I won't say every adult, but like throughout the movie, yes, you have Tony as the villain, but if you listen to the way the parents talk to the kids, you listen to the way that like Lars, of course, but a lot of the coach at Camp MVP, like the way they talk to the kids is so cruel. It's so disrespectful. It's so mean that it just stands out so harsh to me, especially as an adult. Like I didn't pay as much attention when I was a kid because I was like thinking more about the kids. As an adult, I'm like, oh my God, I would never say things like this to a kid.
Oh yeah. When the coach calls him a baby.
Yeah.
For, he's like hurt. He got hit by a pitch. And he's like,
come on, get back out there. And I'm like, you see some of those guys at like first grade baseball games and stuff like that. And you're like, that's not a good look.
The stewardess in the beginning, she condescends to Jerry.
Yeah.
She's nice,
She says, hey there, Mr. Rainy Day.
Oh my God. Like he's 6 years old. Like it's
exactly.
So
like he's 6 years old. Yes.
Yeah. And I love that they have the captain thing. It comes back because he does like become kind of the captain of this group of kids. And he's the captain. He does the go-kart race at the end.
Yep. Yeah. So Ben Stiller is insane. He starts out just kind of mildly annoying and eccentric. And then through, I'm guessing, sun poisoning and food deprivation, just loses his mind on the hike.
It was like 20 miles. I'm trying to imagine. I'm like, I've never been on a 20-mile hike.
What the heck?
No food. I assume they had water.
You hope.
Yeah, I mean, 20 miles, if you had to walk 20 miles, of course, you'd be crazy tired. But like children on a hike without being athletic at all, like no way.
One guide.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even have like a medical professional there. Again, logistics.
I'm like, listen, I'm a Girl Scout leader, and that does not pass safety security checkpoints.
Exactly.
Yeah, no way. The movie takes a really, really, really drastic turn.
Which I love.
They capture Tony, they tie him up, put him behind an electrified fence, and you think the adults are going to step in. And this is the next big plot hole, but it has to happen so that the movie can happen. The adults go along with it.
Well,
Yeah.
Pat, he attempts to level with him.
I mean...
And then he's like, nope, you deserve this.
That ain't holding up in court. That's all I'm going to say.
No, for sure.
This whole
Your
thing
Honor,
isn't holding up in court.
I could have freed him, but he insulted me.
I could not believe that they didn't have something better to put on Tony. I'm like, this is clear, like, child abuse,
Right,
neglect.
Right.
Like, also he's like, oh, he owes Kenny a lot of money, which was $600. I know it was 1995, but
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that a deterrent for them being able to do anything?
Right. Yeah. So Maria, you are in the visual arts.
Yes.
1 week. No. Well, I'm assuming a week.
I'm
Actually, I don't know why I even said a week. Sorry. An entire camp length of videography, editing to make an infomercial.
Yeah. I mean,
Are you getting paid more than $600?
Definitely.
As a one-man crew?
Kenny needs to up his rates is what I'm saying. Like, or that is going to be the worst infomercial you have ever seen. Kenny looks older, but he's actually like 18. He's 19 years old. It's his first gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he escaped because the British kid doesn't have his parents come to Parents' Day. He says your queen would be proud of you. And then when he captures him, he says, London Bridge is falling down.
Oh my God.
So how do you guys feel about, because like I said, this is it's a real big shift in tone that doesn't last, because then we get the real ending of the movie, right? Because this feels like the end of a movie.
Yes.
Pat is installed, the bad guy's carted away, hooray, movie's over. No, movie's not over. So how do you guys feel about Crazy Tony?
I love Crazy Tony.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have questions if it ended right there, if they like hauled him away. I think I know I'm biased, but I love the scene where he blasts in and breaks the glass.
It's crazy.
And the whole Parents' Day like film they put together with the special effects with the rat eating.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing too is like there's the false end, right? Because they have the big like party where they're all eating everything in sight. And again, my adult brain is like, who is catering this? Like, where'd they get those fireworks? Where'd they get those fireworks? Who has the company card? But they put this whole thing on. So I'm glad it didn't end there though.
Yeah, I thought it was going to end there. And I was like, oh, we're continuing. And we're doing the relay race. Like, this is the real... I will say, my brain like turns off a little bit for part of the Apache relay. Yeah.
I'm like, it's a little boring.
Agreed.
After that.
And the go-kart, which is so, I get it, but also it goes on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we could trim this. Mm-hmm. I'm a little out right now.
I want to know how much time elapsed because it felt like they had like a week. But I think Pat's like little speech at the end where he's like, good morning, children. At the end, and everybody wakes up. I'm like, I love that. I love seeing the camp kind of turn over to him, not in the same way. Yeah. But he kind of like takes over and he's like, hey, we're still at this camp and we all have to be responsible for ourselves. And then like, he just like picks up on programming and they teach them how to cook some stuff and they just like go on walks. And I'm like, yeah, he gets back to making it fun. And I'm like, what is the time period? Because they like took down all the signs. They fixed up the go-karts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get the feeling that it is like a longer summer camp, like 2 months probably.
And is that after Tony is carted away?
No, it's during, because
that's
when he's in the cage yelling, dear God,
dear
can
God,
anyone hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, they have this man in here for months, presumably, which is the darker side of this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, how's he going to the bathroom? My thoughts all the time. Where are you peeing and pooping?
Did they dig Tony a poop hole in the corner?
Was the fence already electrified or did they rig that up?
So when we first see Tony in the fence, it's not. And then
that's what I thought.
Before they play the tape of Jerry calling him a skinny wiener, they turn on the electricity.
Yes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, so who's the crack electrician in this like gang of 10 to 12-year-olds
I mean,
who's like, I got it.
Yeah, you have kids of all sorts. You've got the kid who knows how to shave.
Yep.
You've got the kid with the Les Mis shirt, you
Yep.
know?
There were multiple, but yeah.
That's what's
Philip.
funny about this movie. Normally, like a fat kid would be a stereotypical character in a movie, right? But they're all fat kids, so they have to rely on like other stereotypes, but they don't work. Like Josh, what is Josh? Is Josh like a mafia boss?
You know, Josh is
mafia
like
boss
Josh
kid?
is supposed to be like the elder, like the wise guy.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, but
And-
like
and then
Philip
British
is kind
kid?
of what, the nerd British kid.
It's like, what other stereotypes can we pull? British
Also,
kid.
what is Sims? Sims is just like crying
Sims
and
is
ominous.
the silent, sweet guy. He's the
Yeah.
gentle giant, you know?
He's the gentle giant.
Yeah. I want to talk about the dance. Michelle, you just watched this. How did you feel about the
I
dance?
was squealing. I love any dance moment in a TV or movie, and this, like the fact that Tim was leading it, I love it so much. And also, again, knowing these kids, what it's like to be at an awkward dance as a kid and not feeling the most confident or your best or not wanting to be there. I love this scene so much. So much.
Nobody wants to do it. And he's absolutely right. Like even the age group, I keep having to remind myself of the age group because in my brain, these kids are like 14.
Right.
But they're
Yeah.
not. They're young.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
even more awkward.
Yeah.
And Tim gets out there because he's just like pissed about everything. This punch bites.
Yep.
Everything bites. And then you get Pat who's like trying to impress Julie. And so he sees like that she's kind of like laughing at him going out and dancing. And he's like, I'm getting in on this too. And all the girls are like, I guess I could just dance. And they all partner up. And it's like beautiful. And even at the end, you get their little like commentary of like, he was really nice. And then the kiss scene between Sam and
Salami Sam.
Salami Sam gets some. Wow,
Yes, he
wow,
does.
wow.
It's
Yeah,
very
proud of him.
nice. Yes,
It's great.
very.
It's so good.
This act of Tim being like, I'm going to make myself look like an idiot, but in doing so, I'm going to save the dance. That has been burrowed so far deep into my brain that is like my entire personality is people aren't
Make
having
a fool
fun
of myself.
How do I do
Yeah.
that? How do I, and when Pat goes up to him and he's like, what are you doing? And Tim just says, I'm saving the dance.
Saving the dance. That's weird,
like,
Tim.
Rewatching it as an adult, I was like, oh my God. This movie impressed on me that like that's like a hero. Like that's the ideal person to be. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because it really contrasts like good and bad adults in this movie. In a realistic way that I think maybe if you have like a superhero movie, you don't face villains like that in your real life. You face adults on a day-to-day basis who say really shitty things to you, and bullies, adults who are bullies.
Adults who are
your
bullies.
Your family saying things to you about your body, or teachers or whatever. And then you just have these guys who are like, they're kids. They want to dance. Like, let's just make them have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's so sweet.
And like, how good is a group dance? You just, if you need one person to get started, just do like every time Anthony and I are at a wedding, we're the first ones on the dance floor. Yep. Let's get this started. Like, let's go. Because it's just
my
like,
sister.
It's the best.
I always dance like Philip and do the
as long as you dance, right? As long as you dance, that's all that matters. You don't have to be embarrassed of how you dance. Just dance.
I love Salami Sam throughout the whole movie. He's everything that kid says is so funny, but I love his look at the dance where it's like the white tuxedo shirt with the already undone bow tie, as if they've been dancing for hours already.
Yes, and he's like got the spray.
I love later on when Tony is swinging from the tree branch and he's like, Sam, care to join me? And Sam's like, oh yeah,
I'll be right
on
there.
my way.
He's so good.
I mean, I think all of the kids in this are good, and even though we give them we know their names like Philip, Nicholas, Sam, Sims. It's such a big cast that we can't spend like tons and tons of time, but like with the time that all the kids are given, I feel like they're hitting it. They're hitting all their marks, and they have distinct personalities. It's not just like 10 random chubby children
Yeah.
who
I feel
are
like
all
all the
identical.
kids, all the chipmunk cabin kids were like really good. I only noticed like the girls at the dance, their acting was like,
Sure.
okay, I guess I can stand this song.
Right. Thinking about the time, like they're playing, there's a lot of disco in this movie, which is pretty funny.
Yes.
And at that time, it's like 1994, 1995. That wasn't like cool music. And so it's like they're
No.
purposefully playing like
Yeah.
lame-o
Yeah, he
music.
does everything possible to make it horrible, which is as expected. It's like such a even as an adult, I'm pissed every time when he like turns the lights on. I'm like, dude, in the middle of the song, like
yeah.
He's like, put the fruit trays away.
Yeah. The insects will be out. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's so good. And Lars's dance, like I wish I had those moves.
Yep. Ben Stiller's in such good shape in this movie
Yeah.
that I wonder, as he's getting into this crazy shape for this movie, I wonder if he's just like putting little notes in the back of his head, as he's going to the gym, as he's working out, as he's getting super fit. Was he at a group exercise with a dude monotonely slide? Because he doesn't talk like that the rest of the movie. It's insane.
No. And he like has all these little, like even his fake spirituality, like on the mountain retreat, he's just like picked all these little tidbits. I love it.
A line that has also burrowed its way into my brain that has come back a lot as an adult, or as a parent, I should say, is I did not send you to go-kart camp.
Which I'm like, honestly, as a parent, I could totally see myself saying that under these circumstances.
Oh yeah. But it's so heavy and tragic in that, like,
yes,
dear grandma whole thing, because you see how in pain and oppressed and unfair
and
everything
the
is.
Bonfire in the background.
Oh my God. And he's trying to explain, like he's trying to tell his dad, but his dad is just hearing one thing. And again, writing,
well, I don't care about the go-karts.
Right. Yeah. It was established in the first 5 minutes that Jerry's interested in the go-karts, and he's sitting next to his dad and he's like, oh, I want to go to this camp for the go-karts. And his dad is like, that's not why you're going. Comes back around. This movie's perfection, by the way. But yeah, as a parent, you have to stop and be like, what am I hearing versus like what they are saying. It's so cool that they kind of put that in there, because you're like, how are these parents not hearing what's happening?
And it's like, it's double-sided in that you later find out they're not even getting letters or anything. But it's also like, well, okay, if you say it as from a kid's point of view, they're like, yeah, we can't do the go-karts anymore, and like he's really strict and mean, and you're like, yeah, it's a fat camp.
Right. Precisely.
Right. I didn't send you here to have fun. I sent you here because I hate you.
Another line that I just cannot get out of my head for 30 years is, come on, you devil log.
Thank you. I was gonna.
Come on, you devil log. It's perfect.
We say it. My sisters and I say it all the time. I think of it every time I want to walk.
Every time I see a log. I see a log in my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You devil log. That's pretty amazing.
I'm dogging it, Pat. That whole.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what dogging it means.
I don't know. I think it's like he's just going real hard.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just curious, if you guys were to sneak in a snack, what are you sneaking in? And then the follow-up to that is Twinkies on pizza.
As a kid, I was obsessed with the little pretzel nugget things, the honey mustard ones.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, so I probably would have snuck that in. My other go-to snack as a kid was pizza combos with bubble gum.
Okay, explain the with. Is it while you're chewing bubble gum?
Yep, you eat bubble gum, and then you just toss in one pizza combo at a time, and it crunches up, and it gets all stuck in the bubble gum, and you just chew it and chew it and chew it until it's all worked through and gone, and then you throw in another pizza combo.
That is
It's disgusting.
horrible.
Yeah.
That is a
Kids
war
are terrible.
crime.
And I was a kid and
What?
it was
I can't
terrible.
believe we didn't try this with the whole
Well,
gross
if you want
snacks
to,
we
it's
did
not too
last
late.
year. Wow.
What would you bring in, Michelle?
Probably Dunkaroos.
Oh.
Yeah. And I liked the cheese cracker sandwiches or the peanut butter sandwich crackers. The little
Yes.
tiny ones. Yeah, I loved those too.
I would definitely be bringing Oreos.
Oh, Oreos. I mean, yes,
Oreos
always.
are great.
I'm
Always.
imagining, because I think constantly about the hollowed out bunk bed
Oh yeah.
with the string of
Oh,
food
yeah.
on it. And
Mhm.
I'm like, you know what would fit perfectly in there? One of those tubes of Oreos from
Yeah.
the gas station. Got it all planned out. They put like some effort. They've got engineers in that camp.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I mean, the tree stumps have food in it.
The tree stump, yeah, the hollowed out tree stump.
Wow.
Yeah.
Twinkies on pizza. Have we tried it?
No.
Would you try
I
it?
haven't tried it, but I was thinking it might be fun to do that and record that and make a reel of you and I trying.
We
Twinkies
should.
on
And I want to
pizza.
try the
I think we
combos
should.
and bubblegum. I mean, I don't, but I will.
Okay.
I feel like that's your
Brutal.
version of my bologna and graham cracker.
Sure. Yeah.
Is it like a bubblegum flavored bubblegum?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
It's not the combat because I love a pizza combo. Like
Me
if I'm on a
too.
road trip, my immediate needs are a Twix bar and pizza combos for the road.
Okay.
But it's the dissolving in the bubblegum that's
It's
really
so
And it's
odd.
eating the
tripping me up.
gum? Like it's eating the gum.
No, you don't eat the gum. You don't eat the
No.
Oh,
gum.
you're just when do you
So some of it becomes part of the gum, Michelle.
Yeah.
Some of it dissolves down your throat.
Yeah.
Oh. One piece of bubblegum.
Yeah.
Yep. So you throw the bubblegum in your mouth.
This is crazy.
Once the bubblegum is soft, you throw in a pizza combo. You just chew it up. Some of it gets shards of combo get into the bubblegum. Now listen, I haven't done this since I was probably 10 or 11, so I'm not trying to say people should do this.
I can't believe you were sitting on this and I got so much shame about my bologna and graham crackers.
Well, now you see
A
why.
year later this comes out.
Now you see why, because it's disgusting.
Wow. Okay.
I also just want to point out, there's a lot of great music in this movie. Obviously, the opening song, everybody wants to be closer to free. Great line,
Mhm.
Everybody just wants to live how they want to live, and everybody wants to love how they want to love, and just let me be fat, like let me be a little fat kid. Come on, man.
He's like so just beep bopping along. I'm like, he's just not athletic. He can't throw a ball.
Oh well. But
Drive
talk
it
about
home.
a painful memory moment when he can't get that ball over the fence. Oh my
Brutal.
God.
Another
I've been
thing I
in that.
felt so
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah.
So
My best friend my whole life was like a camp MVP kid. Like he was a baseball player, very, very muscular and athletic. And then there was me. And so there was many situations in life where it was like, just throw the ball. And I'm like,
yep.
100%.
Oops. Yeah.
I'm still like that.
I remember I caught a dodgeball in gym class one day because I went like this
Nice.
to block my face. And I caught it after they kicked it. So it went straight at me and I caught it and someone was out and I was like, this is what it feels like to be good at sports.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm a hero.
Yep. And that moment later on in the movie with Pat, where he's like, do you know that I've never scored a goal in anything? And I've scored points in sport, whatever. You catch the occasional dodgeball flying at your face, but I've never won a game. I've never been on a team, and to me, that doesn't matter. I don't care. But as a young kid, again, it's like you think about that. Like you think, I've never scored a point, or I've never been on a team, or I've never. So
I think one final, or like not final, I'll say more things, I'm sure. But like one thing I want to, a new perspective that I have on this movie is that I I work out now with like a group of people. I have like a workout group. We do like strongman, we some strongman stuff. And they're like, my trainer has a gym called like Misfit Strength. And it's very much so people who are like, have some kind of bad history with working out or some, you know, whatever, who are just like, I just want to like work out and see what my body can do and be around like-minded people and like have fun. And I have that space now. And so seeing like Jerry get on that bus and when Roy goes, you're not the fat kid, everyone's the fat kid. That is so powerful to be in a space with people who are like, I'm not on the outs. We're just here. And they're all having fun. They're doing the blob. They're doing like all kinds of active stuff they had planned until, right? So just like the value of that, of having a group of people that you can be yourself with where, and even Jerry, who was like, I don't need this. I have a friend at home, like found maybe a community he didn't know he needed.
Right.
So
yeah, precisely.
That's so cool you have that, Maria. That is so...
I know. I love it. I'm like
stinking
obsessed
cool
with my trainer. I always tell her how much she like changed my life. Cause like a lot of my very close friends are part of that group now.
Wow.
And like, I feel like going into my first competition felt very much like, oh, I'm going up against
yeah,
these like very fit, like bodybuilder type camp MVP. And I was scared. And I was like, no, I can do this.
Wow.
So, you know,
very cool.
It feels like that. And I'm like, if I had taken that away from the movie younger, that would have been cool.
Right.
My husband, he's part of a gym, but he's just naturally athletic and fit. He's always like, you should come. And I'm like, I'm not on that level, so I need to.
I gotta say, like, I love being a fat person who can lift heavy things because people are like, what? And it makes me feel like I scored a point in something.
Right? A girl?
I just like so badly want to, you know, you see those videos of guys who are like doing, there's like the custodian will be like, oh, can I pick that up? And he's actually like really strong.
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes, and that's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
I just want to mention when Mr. Perkis is asking who's been there the longest, and Pat says 18 years. He says, 18 years? What have you been doing with yourself? Pretty great.
What the hell you been doing with yourself?
But then we get this like montage of them like fixing up the camp, and we do see Sims painting. The whole movie, like we were all saying, like, what is Sim's deal? That's his deal. Exactly. Yeah. And it's like just little teeny tiny moments that pull the whole thing together. So we go into the Apache relay, and it is kind of like revving the engine back up again to be like, actually, there's another ending. Please stay. Please don't wind down yet. Obviously, the kids are not as physically fit as Camp MVP, but they catch up because Josh can shave a balloon. Roy can throw a football through a tire. And then the British kid is smarter than everybody, and he just blows through the thing. So we get to Jerry in the go-kart, and they've stolen the motor off of the boat of Camp MVP and put it onto the go-kart. Pat says to him, be careful. This guy drives dirty. What does that mean? What has happened in the past? Is there a kid not returning to Camp Hope this year because he was driven down a gulch? Yeah, like presumably this happens every year. Mm-hmm. And the kid is shooting him like the douchiest looks too, right? Like the whole time. I think he killed a kid. He's a murderer. Exactly. Yeah. Go-kart scene, it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. This does feel like the more Disney ending, where absolutely the weird backflip glass breaking thing feels like the Steven Brill Judd Apatow ending.
Yeah.
And Disney was like, maybe we gotta add something nice on. Ending. Yeah. But yes, Jerry has talked about wanting to go fast, wanting to fly, wanting to feel all of the things that he doesn't feel as a fat kid, and so he flies through the air, crashes down, wins the race, and it's great. Like I tear up at it. You know, it's very good. They throw the cup into the water, which is another good message of like this. if this is what it's all been about, like this is about so much more. The leader of Camp MVP says, "You're crazy." And Pat says, and this is so corny, but I just love it so much. Pat says, "You bet I'm crazy. Crazy about my gal." And then dips Nurse Julie and kisses her in front of a camp full of children.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know why it's so corny. It's perfect. Because
Yeah.
it's like, it feels like so Pat. It feels like the character too, because it's corny and
Mhm.
silly. And like, also it feels like it's poking a little bit of fun at how they have to wrap everything up in a nice bow because it's a kid's movie.
It gets very much to screenwriting 101 in these last like 30 seconds because it's like Pat learned confidence. Jerry had the best summer of his life. Like Jerry flew. Like everything just wraps up together. But I love it. I don't know. Michelle,
Yeah.
what did you think
That's
about
what you want with a kid's movie.
the
Yeah, no,
ending?
I feel the same way. And I'm like, Pat won. Like everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Right. We do a freeze frame, which I love a freeze frame to end the movie. We then get a credits song, which Paul Feig wrote and produced, and they all recorded together. I love that too.
Yeah, that's great.
And then we get a post-credit scene. This movie has everything. That's Heavyweights.
And that's the best movie you've ever seen.
And that's precisely. All right, so this movie was made for $10 million, but take that with a grain of salt. I could not verify that from multiple sources. I only found that on the internet database. Goes on to make 17.5 million. So not a total bomb, but clearly the people were not clamoring for Fat Camp movie, which is a total shame. Brace yourselves. This movie has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, but like 77 audience score. So, 3.2 on Letterboxd, 42 on Metacritic. Surprisingly, this is not part of the Criterion Collection, nor is it part of the National Film Registry yet. And they filmed this from March 28th to May 25th, so just about 2 months. Let's go to a segment of the show where we talk about our happies and our crappies. It's time for happies and crappies. Happies and crappies. All right, so I'll go first. Let's go in alphabetical order, but reverse. So I'll go first, and then Michelle, and then Maria. All right, so my happy is, I think my happy is like the thing that I mentioned earlier about just tiny little editing and sound effect tricks that they sprinkle in, as Michelle said. And then my crappy, I don't know that it's a crappy, but just the transition between Evil Tony and the Apache Relay. It's done with another letter to grandma, so in the language of the film, there's an established bridge there. It just feels a little too start and stoppy for me, but other than that, nothing really.
Okay, so I have two happies. I'm gonna cheat. My first happy is getting to watch this movie and then realizing Aaron Schwartz is who Aaron Schwartz is, because that was like that really blew my mind. But my real happy is the dance scene. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, I really love Tim's outfit, the jean shorts and that like crop jersey. Really, really love that too. Okay, my crappy is really hard to pick a crappy. I don't think this movie really has one, but I'm gonna nitpick just what I said about how I think like the relay race scene is a little long for me. So I would trim it.
My happy is Pat, of course. Just being like the coolest adult ever that every kid, especially every fat kid, needs. And my crappy is really hard. I feel like I'm also nitpicking, but in looking at this from the lens of like, has this aged well? The one thing that stood out to me was like the Apache Relay, all the like headdresses and things that felt very disrespectful. So I'm like, I feel like that's the one thing as an adult I would change about this movie. Otherwise it is 100% perfect.
So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Some of these display names might be a little spooky because still Halloween. So don't be scared, folks. Ghastly Spectre John Butter at the John Butter says, quote for the movie, I see the future president of the United States. He's from England. I love that because they're just showing what an idiot Tony is. And he looks at the one black kid in camp and he's like, I see a future rap star.
Yeah.
And the three of just the look that they give, it's so subtle that it's like, is this guy an idiot? Shrek is love at It's Bleaker XOX. That's spooky to me.
Oh, Shrek is love.
Says, this and Camp Nowhere's VHS tapes were played to death in my house.
Yes.
Felicia at Cinnamoroni, she says, my sister and I wore out our VHS copy of this because we used to watch it so much.
Wow.
See, the people who get it, they get it.
Yeah.
Corey Merrick at the Corey Merrick says, I once had an all-boys summer camp I worked part-time at set up a movie screen outside to showcase this, my favorite movie. It was my 33rd birthday, and it bleepin' ruled. I had my wedding at that summer camp this summer.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's so great.
I love that so much. Silly Goose Magoo at Show and Mad Love says, young boys are very insecure about their bodies, especially fat kids, and there's very little grace or recognition of that. Heavyweights is silly as hell, but it may be the only movie, and then in parentheses he says ever, that directly tells fat boys it's okay to accept and like their bodies as is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some people that we do know, and we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Okay, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is a website where you can rate and review movies. We start with a half-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a film. We go all the way up to a 5-star rating, which is the highest rating that you can give a film. And the half-star review, do you guys have a request for a voice I should read it in?
Can you do Tony? Or can you do Papa?
Please do Papa.
Papa. Yeah, I got a thing. Okay, I'll try to do Papa. Papa Perkis.
Uh-huh.
The lighting fixture king.
The lighting fixture king. Maybe it's because I don't have the nostalgia tied to it, but I don't know. I just didn't like watching kids get shamed and go to fat camp. And I get it. It's supposed to be goofy and silly, and OMG, Ben Stiller is in it, but it was just so uncomfy to watch. Cry emoji, cry emoji.
Wow.
So this person just didn't want to watch kids go to fat camp, and it made them uncomfy. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, I feel like this movie, you know, what we'll say on the show sometimes is like, just like presenting something means that you're approving of something, and people have a hard time again with like, how do I feel about fat people, right? Should I applaud a person for, you know, being a plus size model, or is that celebrating unhealthiness, or, you know, all of those different things. So this person just couldn't get over viewing fat children for an hour and a half. It made them uncomfy.
And I'm like, the only thing I could see is like, because I know that in real life, fat camps, especially if are extremely abusive and like horrible. Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, if somebody had a personal experience at a camp like that and was like, oh, this is too much for me, I could totally see that. But otherwise, I'm like, yeah, it's just, I don't know if we should be talking about fat kids.
Oh, can we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think laughing about things is good and normal and makes things normal. And there's a way of mocking people that keeps them outside, and there's a way of laughing at things that brings them in. So I think I
always argue with people that this movie is like a health at every size, body positivity movie before its time, because it really is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the ending,
for sure.
You know, Pat talks to them about we need to take personal responsibility. So what does that mean? What does that mean for every single person? For me,
we're all going to be in charge of our own diets. Yes. They didn't like go Nurse Julie's telling you what to eat. Here you
right.
go.
Yeah.
Learning to cook, doing power walking. Oh man.
Oh my God.
I love the power. Yeah,
It's
they're being
insane.
very silly.
Yep. All right, 3-star review says, Ben Stiller purposefully smashing cups on the ground just to walk on the broken glass as an intimidation tactic is a full and complete understanding of the character. Love it. It's
Yep.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
5-star review says, one of the first films that made me feel like I wasn't just the quote-unquote fat kid. This movie made me feel seen and less alone growing up. And then they finish with a quote from the film, "Attention campers. Lunch has been canceled due to a lack of hustle. Deal with it."
Deal.
I want to say that to my cats every time they're meowing.
Oh.
I always wrote down that quote, and I'm going to say that to
I
them.
want to say that to my kids.
It's so good. It's
All right.
great.
Dessert has been canceled due to a lack of hustle. Yeah.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
It's beautiful.
So, Maria, if you were to rate this movie 1 through 5 stars, is this a schmovie, a movie, or a film? And do you recommend it?
I want to call this a film so badly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say it is because I can. It's a film.
You can say whatever you want.
And I was like, am I gonna take some points off just because I like have a trouble giving something 5 stars? But no, I'm giving this movie 5 stars because I just love it so much. 5 stars for me.
So where can people find you online?
People can find me at Maria Siriano Photo. That's my photography account, and I barely post photography, so find me there.
You can find me, and I won't be there.
I will
love it.
maybe respond. Oh,
it's so good. I love that so much.
Well, thank you for joining us, Maria. This was fun.
Thank
Thanks for having
you.
me on.
This is a joy.
Yes. I hope you make sense of all the nonsense that I have said in this podcast.
Absolutely. That's what. Yes. Hey, that was a lot of fun.
That was so much fun.
Was that maybe the most laughing we've ever done on an episode? Except for maybe John Wick with my mom.
Your family brings the giggles.
Yeah, the giggles. So Maria gave this a 5-star film.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time to reveal our ratings. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first. All right. I guess we'll see how this goes. But because it's Seth Bember, I feel like I can just proceed forward with 5 stars on everything.
I mean,
and so
that's a gamble.
I know. Well, this week I felt you were going to rate Heavyweights a 5-star film.
Wow. Close.
Oh, man.
I'm going to rate this a 5-star movie. If you don't listen to the show a lot, it might seem like I'm just being like, I liked this movie when I was a kid, so it's 5 stars. That is not how I rate things. Probably I should probably rate with my heart more. Heart rate.
A heart rate.
A heart rate. I don't do that. Okay. No. I'm a serious film person.
That talks about chaps and skinny dipping.
Yeah. I'm not a serious film person, but yes, this is a 5-star movie for me. I think for all the reasons that we talked about, this movie goes beyond just like feel good and funny. It's really well structured. It's really well written. I think it's well shot. Sure, there's not like incredibly great moments of like beautiful cinematography, but there's a few. Pat and Jerry on the dock at sunset, you know, for what the movie's doing, I think that it does it all perfectly. There's like the tiny bit of slowdown towards the end, but I don't even care about that. So yeah, 5-star movie for me. So good guess.
Thanks.
I guessed for you 4-star movie.
Oh, okay. I'm like, where is that rating? 3.5 movie for me.
Wow. Okay.
So this was very enjoyable. A lot of fun. Lots of laughs. I'm definitely recommending it, but 3.5 felt right.
Sure. Hey, if we feel right to you, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Apple Podcasts, Tunes. That's great.
No.
If you're listening on Podcast Addict, you know, we get some of you guys over there. iHeartRadio, we noticed a big jump over there recently. I don't know if iHeartRadio lets you review things, but, you know, send us an email. Let us know where you're listening.
I see you guys voting on Spotify because I've been putting out little polls and you guys are voting over there. Thanks for your engagement.
I would love to just get an email that says nothing other than I'm listening on Podcast Addict.
Me too. I
just
would
from
love
a random
that.
person.
I found you on Overcast.
Yeah, our Overcast downloads are like through the roof, and Who are you people?
Right.
The show is called Movie Friends, not Movie Strangers.
That's right.
Also, don't be a stranger. Send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you're eating, what you're drinking. Let us know about heavyweights. What's your plan for November? Who are you voting for?
Mm.
I won't tell Michelle. You can tell me. You can also support the show, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. $5 a month gets you access to all of our additional shows. Also, our live show on Space Jam, which is like a full-fledged hour 40-minute video.
Have you guys checked it out? Has anybody watched it? I'm so
Dude,
curious. Like,
you gotta check it out. It's so awesome.
please just watch the short film in the beginning.
Yeah, we made a whole short film in the beginning. Come on. That's worth the price of admission alone.
I think so.
You also get access to our patron-only Discord, and you get to vote on upcoming movies and monthly themes. It's great. You also support a small independent show. And look, folks, when we start running ads for Chumba Casino, okay, you're going to be mad. You're going to be like, I don't want to listen to Chumba Casino commercials. What?
Oh my God, Chumba Casino.
Yeah, man. So help keep us independent because we are going to sell out the moment that we can. So
that's true.
All right. Next week.
What's next on the Seth tour?
When I say I have been like waiting, not trying to figure out how I could fit these movies in, but just waiting for the perfect moment. That's what I've been doing. Next week, we're going to be talking about Magic Spot from 2022. Directed by Charles Roxburgh, currently streaming on the Roku channel, and you can purchase it on Prime and Vimeo.
Okay, I've never heard of it, and I've obviously never seen it.
This will be the first movie that is made by Charles Roxburgh and Matt Farley.
Okay.
That we have covered on the show. Uh-huh. And these movies are very near and dear to my heart. And I'm constantly recommending that people watch them and check them out.
Cool. I can't wait to see this because, yeah, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're aware of the whole...
I'm very aware.
Farley Roxburgh thing. And
yes, so to finally go into the world, I am very excited.
And I am very excited to hear like what you think. And yeah, I just want to hear your honest reaction.
I mean, do I ever not give my honest reaction?
No, you do. You do. I don't think you're fluffing it up for Spielberg, you know.
I'm not fluffing it up.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Mm-mm. This will be a movie that I hope if people are following along with us that they'll check out because a lot of people haven't seen these movies. So
I'm getting no hints with this. Like when I think of Magic Spot, I think of like you touch a little circle and whoo, happens.
Sure. Yeah. I could explain to you what the movie is.
Do you want to give me a genre? No genre.
Nope. I don't even want to really give you a genre.
Imagine if it's about Dalmatians.
That would be funny. Yeah. Magic Spot. You have to find the one magic spot on the Dalmatian.
That or the dog's name is Spot and he has magical powers.
There you go.
And he's a wizard.
Go with that. Well, thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Seth. Heavyweights was very enjoyable. So Seth Bember is off to a good start. We're hitting the ground speed walking. All right. Until next week when we're talking about Magic Spot from 2022. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubinstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks.